Shooting Star, Moonberry's Wedding by Swedish Gambler. After Moonberry and Shooting Star had been together for about nearly 2 years, Shooting Star had often been thinking about taking the next step. But during this time, he was a bit afraid that Moonberry would say no to his question. In fact, he had already bought a ring in secret, but he wanted to ask her parents first. But at first he wanted to wait to ask them, because he wanted to make sure he wanted to plan for something special. But even before he's going to ask her parents, he told Moonberry that he's going away for a while. He's going first to Crystal Empire and then later to Griffithstone for a treatment or treaty. He was being asked by Celestia and Luna to make it a trade treaty between those two kingdoms. And Moonberry was not against that. He was actually proud that Shooting Star has taken this opportunity to learn more about those each cultures, and also to see more about Equestria and the others. And before he was actually going away, only the day before, he actually decided to tell Moonberry's parents, and he actually asked her parents a grape wine dream and toffee berry for their blessing to marry their daughter, and even he asked for sea berry truffles. And they all said they're willing to do it, because Shooting Star has been so honest and very much helpful to their daughter. She has been so lonely before he even met. And also he had even told her brother and her brother-in-law and nieces to keep this proposal a secret. They all promised, by also doing a pinky promise. Shooting Star gave Moonberry a kiss and said goodbye, and he would be back within a few days, within the next 2 weeks. And during this time, Shooting Star was still thinking about this big day, and also how everything is going to go well, and he was hoping that nothing will go wrong between this proposal and during the wedding. And even he tried to focus his mind on, especially for this treaty with the other cultures. And during this time, he even met the ambassadors from Saudi Arabia, and even Meritonia, and even from Mount Eris, from sea points or hippogriffs. And during these 2 holy weeks, there was a bit of tension between the griffins and the hippogriffs. But with help from Shooting Star, they managed to keep this treaty work. And after this treaty had been signed, he returned back home. But he decided not to ask Moonberry this big question. Not yet. He wanted to take it or wait for just a few days. Because after he came back home, he was so exhausted about this treaty, it took a lot of his energy. And Moonberry didn't mind it, because she understood that how much he took a lot of his energy just to make this treaty work. And he said that he can take her out for a picnic within a few days. and she didn't mind that. And in fact, 4 days later, he actually took her to the park. But they decided to just have their picnic on the meadow just near the park, with a view all over the lake and everything else. Shooting Star was now very quite nervous and afraid if she would say no to his proposal. During this time, he had already even explained the plan how to propose to Moonberry to her family, and they all were actually quite impressed of his planning and very hopefully said good luck. And he wanted this to go exactly as he's planned. And during this time then, at the park, they were still eating their picnic together and just small talked, and that Shooting Star explained something about his past and about this treaty, how we learned, and that this treaty could have failed if the hippogriffs and the griffins never came along, but managed with his time, with his experience of treating, or experience of treating other creatures well, made this treaty just perfect. And she was very proud of him. And then, after they had finished their picnic, they just sat there and just enjoyed the company until then he showed up, the small box, and then asked her, Moonberry, there is something I would like to ask you. And she looked at him, and then he showed the ring. Will you marry me? At first it was quiet. Moonberry was just looking at the ring, and she couldn't even believe it. She never thought that Shooting Star was going to propose to her. And in fact, she said yes and started crying. She jumped up in his arms and hugged him over and over. She was so excited about this news, and they later actually went back to her parents' home and they told the news, but they were so surprised. But even they already know about the plan, but they played as surprised. But then they had asked, when will the wedding to be? And Moonberry thought maybe within the next 2 months. And they had already decided who could be her bridesmaids, and she wanted to be Rarity. And Shooting Star had asked Spike if he could be his best man, and even that Sweetie Belle could be the ring bearer. And even then, he was actually very proud of his planning for this. But during this the next 2 months, they practiced about his wedding in the city hall in Pondeville. They had even asked if Cadence could perform the ceremony, and she was willing to do it. But during time of this practice, Twilight was the one who would be performing as for Cadence, only for practice. And everything went quite well, and they discussed what kind of flowers we use, and what kind of colors there will be, and what type of music they would have on the party. But even then, seems to be perfect. But then the day came. At the altar, Spike was standing there with Shooting Star. He was getting cold feet. And he was not so very nervous. He thought that he couldn't even handle this stress and everything. And that he almost felt that he was going to faint. But Spike used patch on his back and said, "Calm down. Everything was gonna go well." And even Seaberry Truffle, who were also with him as an extra support, also said the same thing. And even Cadence had noticed that Shooting Star was very nervous. And she explained to him that every pony can be cold feet. Even the brides can be also cold feet. And Shooting Star then realized perhaps even Moonberry was also being nervous. In fact, she was so nervous that she could even barely speak readily. She was stuttering all this, but her mother managed to calm her down. And then the wedding march began, and the doors opened, and there she walked on the aisle with her father, Grapevine Dream. And he once again became even more nervous, but Spike patted his back once again. "You can nail it, you can handle it." And he thanked Spike, and finally Moonberry was at his side, and everything seems to be very much going quite well. Cadence says to all she finished her all the weddings, the ceremony, and then they looked at each other's eyes, and then Cadence sings the lines, "Do you take this merit to be your lovely wedding wife?" And he says, "I do." Moonberry says the same thing, and then, being a lovely, fully wedded husband, then she pronounced them both as mare and colt. And they both gave each other a kiss, and all walked down the aisle to the party which Pinkie Pie and Discord had organized for every other guest. And the entire party lasted for almost an entire evening. Around 6 p.m., there was time for Moonberry and Shooting Star to go on their honeymoon, and they went to a tropical island for the next 3 whole weeks. And they both had this great time on their honeymoon. And that's how Shooting Star, Moonberry became married and have a happy life together. The end.